Scaling Facebook ads to over $3,000 a day or more. Today, I'm going to be taking you behind the scenes to one of our campaigns and accounts to walk you through how we've successfully scaled our accounts to over $3,000 for our funnels. And the case study that you're going to be taking a look at is some of our campaigns where we have spent millions of dollars on it, but also most importantly, how we're spending over $3,000 a day utilizing these scaling strategies so that you'll be able to see for yourself how this would look like for you as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to refresh the stats real quick, and I want to be able to share with you what some of these campaigns are and how it looks like and how you can be scaling the mindset, the steps, as well as the strategies that you should be adopting. Let's begin. So quick question, before you even begin, this is the mindset that you need to be adopting when it comes to scaling. And it's basically this: if you could pay Facebook $1, and for every $1 you spend, if you got back $3 in net profit, how much would you spend? How much would you spend next month if for every $1 you spend, you got back a net profit of $3? Let me know in the comments right now. Now, chances are, if you think about it, the number should be, in theory, everything that you own, right? You should be selling the house, the car, the kids, liquidating and trying to get as much cash as possible and giving it all to Mark Zuckerberg. Now, obviously, this is an oversimplified version of how reality works. But the concept and the mindset to adopt is not about thinking, what is your budget? That's the mindset most people have. Most people will set aside a budget for Facebook ads when it comes to scaling. But the first thing, before you even go tactical about it, is to change the way you think about scaling, which is basically understanding how much it costs you to acquire a customer and how much a customer is worth. If you understood these two numbers, that is how you'll be able to scale a campaign well, which is basically what we do, which is what my team does as well. They don't come to me every single month asking me, how much are you spending on Facebook this month? They understand that as long as we are able to spend $1 and get back $2 at least in return, we want to be able to spend as much as we can. So the question is, how do you effectively do that? You effectively do that by two things, right? Number one, understanding how much does it cost you to acquire a customer, and Facebook tells you this number. And number two, by understanding how much a customer is worth, which with a good sales process in place, with a good system in place, you should be able to know this number based on that funnel builder. So for example, the funnel builder we utilize, if you've been watching my channel, you'll know that I'm on ClickFunnels. ClickFunnels, the sales process is utilized and reports all numbers to me. So I know for all of my different sales processes exactly how much a customer is worth on average when they check out. And if you're not on ClickFunnels yet, I've dropped a link right below this video in the description box. Be sure to check it out right after you watch this video if you want to be able to get different templates, whether you're going to sell physical products, digital products, e-commerce, coaching, high ticket. There is a sales process that is proven regardless of what industry or market that you're in. Heading back into the account right now, if you understand that scaling is all about these two things, it's about understanding how much it costs to acquire a customer and how much a customer is worth, that's when we can begin our scaling process. Let's take an actual campaign that is running right now. So you can see what makes this channel different is that the thing that I'm teaching you is not theory. It's not something that I think works. It's not something that I believe and hope will work for you. It is literally something that is currently active, that I'm doing every single day, that's making money online. Okay, so let's begin the process by looking at some of the different ad campaigns that is working. I want to be able to share with you the specifics of it all so they can start seeing how this scaling strategy works. Okay, so all I'm going to start off is I'm going to look for let's look for a specific campaign of a worldwide audience so that you can start seeing how this scaling strategy works. Okay, so this is a very specific funnel. MDA stands for $1 Million Ads. It's basically a book showing people the different ads that we run. And every single time a person goes through this funnel, right now, the average cart value, or rather a person that goes through this funnel is worth approximately about $140 to $160, depending on the country that they're from, just on the front end. Okay, so that means on the front end, whenever a person goes through this funnel, that's how much they would pay on average whenever they check out. But if I were to include the back end, which means the follow-up email sequences, the potential recurring, the fact that they could be buying other products and cross-sells, and the back end and the higher ticket, it's going to be a lot more when I include lifetime value, right? Remember I talked about these two things when it comes to scaling? So over here, you'll see that the first thing I always will notice is what is the cost per result, okay? So the cost per result for this campaign is $41. So I know that approximately it's making me about 2.5 to 3x returns on the front end for this customer. And this campaign, for just this one type of audience, which you'll find out in a second, we spent about $22,000 on this campaign, okay? So let's take a look at the specifics of this campaign and what is a good, effective way to scale. So one audience that I love utilizing, okay, and you probably want to write this down, is called what I call a super lookalike of buyers that is from targeting a worldwide audience. So, and I'm going to show you how you can set this up as well. It's going to be very tutorial based. So imagine this. Imagine that right now, if you are just starting out, you might have a proof of concept. Scaling is all about taking something that's already proven to work, where there's now this small fire, and now you want to pour gasoline on this fire and scale it and make it bigger, right? You can't scale a loser. If you are scaling a loser, you're only going to bleed money faster, right? You got to pick something that's winning, that has got this proof of concept. So scaling now is, let's take this thing that works and make it bigger. Okay, so how do we do that? So one of the quickest ways and fastest ways to scale is to first make sure that you have a custom audience of people that has bought your stuff in the past, right? So over here you can see that I have a custom audience that's based upon a conversion event. Now, what's the conversion event? It's basically people who has bought my product in the past. And because I've got this small sample size, well, not exactly small, but I've got this sample size of buyers, a custom audience is where if you put gold in, you'll get gold out. If you put crap in, you get crap out. Okay, so this is where we are able to get something that works, because people, these are people that's bought from me in the past for this specific product. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell Facebook, help me find more people that looks like this existing audience, which are my buyers, right? So all I'm doing is, if somebody has triggered this conversion event in the past, now how do they know that they've triggered it? It's basically if they visited the thank you page of my sales process. So if they initiated checkout and if they went to the members area, that means they're a buyer. That's how Facebook knows that they're a buyer. So pretty straightforward. And if you're new to this, I'll walk you through the specifics. But notice how under here, it says custom audience, it says include people who are at least one of the following. So notice this, it says, I want to be able to target people that looks like my all-time buyers for $1 million ads, right? So I'm telling Facebook, go out there, look for a people that looks like, that has bought from me in the past, right? And on top of that, okay, so that's one, a lookalike audience of the buyers. But much more than that, notice my location, okay? Location says worldwide. Now, the reason why you want to be doing this is because you want to be able to allow Facebook to do the heavy lifting and to have the algorithm do the work for you. In order for you to execute this, okay, because I don't want to be teaching this theory, I want to be able to showing you execution, but let's understand the big picture concept of what's happening, okay? So in order to scale, the first thing, so notice first requirement, you must know your two numbers. You have to know it, okay? Number one is how much does it cost to acquire a customer, right? Cost per acquisition. You must know how much your average cart value of a customer is. You must know how much a customer is worth on the front end, on average, whenever they check out. Whenever you know these two numbers, this serves as the basis of scaling. That brings us to number two. With these numbers in mind, all I did was I uploaded a custom audience. And basically what this custom audience is, they are the buyers of that product. Okay, not of any product, but that one product, which was $1 million ads. And this is a thing that's automatically updated. How do you create this custom audience? All I'm going to do, in fact, you know what? Let's make it step by step. Let's make it tutorial based. Let me show you how it's done. Okay, so how do we create this custom audience? Super simple. On the left-hand side where it says business tools, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to audiences. And under audiences, I am going to look for the portion that says create custom audience. Okay, so you can see I've got all these custom audiences over here, different sizes, some small, some really big, 400,000. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on create audience, and I'm going to take a look at custom audience. Okay, so I'm going to click on custom audience. So all I'm doing, how do you create your custom audience of buyers? Under custom audience, you're going to show them the best way to do it so that Facebook automatically updates this custom audience is to have the source based on the website. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm telling Facebook, as long as somebody visits this specific website. Now, what would this specific website be? I would tell Facebook, people, take a look at this. I'm going to change it to people who visited specific web pages. I'm going to select this one instead. Why? Because now I want to be able to tell Facebook if they visited this URL, and if this URL contains, so for example, if let's say the thank you page of my website is www. for example, milliondollar/ads.com/whatever, the thank you page, right? Which is obviously not the real thank you page URL. But if let's say this was the real thank you page URL, all I'm doing is I'm telling Facebook, help me create this audience, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to name this audience $1 million ads buyers. Does that make sense? So all Facebook is going to do now is when I click on this blue button, Facebook will help me automatically create and update the people and the audience size that has bought from me in the past. Again, so it's gold in, gold out, right? The more data you can feed Facebook, the more powerful utilizing their AI your data would be, because now they're able to connect more dots and see the correlation and the pattern between these buyers to help you find more lookalike buyers, okay, which is where we're at right now. Okay, number 3 is I created a lookalike audience, which number 3 is also a custom audience. Okay, lookalike is also a custom audience, but this time this lookalike audience is I will begin with 1% of buyers. So notice my scaling strategy. I always start with this first, okay? And then after that, once I look for the 1%, let's head over to the laptop again to show you how that looks like. So in order to create this lookalike audience, same thing as before, all we're gonna do is go to create audience. This time, click on lookalike audiences. So this time, it's asking me for my lookalike source, right? So all I'm going to do is I am going to click on other sources. Now remember, I already have my buyers for this specific, remember, all-time buyers, right? This is something that's already existing now. Now notice how I have like a ton of sources, right? All-time buyers for this date, all-time buyers for this specific product, tons of purchases, right? Webinar registration. So a lot of different types of custom audience. But for this example, the one that we did was basically all-time buyers for $1 million ads, right? So I'm going to click on this, and what I'm essentially going to do is I'm going to start off with 1%, which is basically the closest to the buyers as much as possible, right? Now, the higher the percentage is, the bigger the audience is going to be, okay? But I always begin with 1%, so that means that it's going to be the tightest. And rather than selecting a country, I'm going to allow Facebook to do the heavy lifting for me, and I want to utilize worldwide. Countries, this would be like literally every country out there, okay? Select all. Now, I could very well exclude some high-risk countries or non-English speaking countries. Now, this would be all countries, okay? So now, there's 28 million people that looks like my buyers from a worldwide audience. Now, even though it could be scary big because it looks like it's way too broad, but this is where the magic can happen as well. Of course, I might exclude some countries that there's non-English speaking countries, But I want to be able to allow Facebook to do the heavy lifting for me based on the data that they have. Because remember, gold in, gold out. So the stronger your seed audience is, your initial audience, the better Facebook will be able to do the heavy lifting. Okay, so that's why if you take a look at the lookalike campaigns that I showed you, I am literally getting just Facebook to just go out there and find more people that looks like my buyers. Okay, so that's the step that we're on. So in other words, once you have created this custom audience of lookalike audiences, then the next thing you're going to be doing is, that brings us to number 4. What we essentially did was we went on to worldwide and see what happens, and if Facebook can still maintain your cost of acquiring a buyer without it going crazy. If you are still able to be profitable and if you're able to maintain your margins, then notice the campaign after this. Okay, so the next one that we'll do in order to continue scaling it further is we will increase our lookalike audience to 2%, but, and this is the thing that most people don't do, but exclude the 1% audience. Now, it goes without saying, when you are targeting these buyers, I should have probably mentioned that at the same time, you're obviously, okay, excluding your all-time buyers of that product, right? So notice that in my targeting, which I'll show you in a second again, this seems obvious, but sometimes people don't do this, is that you want to always make sure you're not targeting the people that's bought from you or bought that product from you in the past. So what does it mean by to target lookalike audience of 2% but not 1%? To show you what that means, let's take a look at the campaign again. Okay, so going back to the campaign right now, if I were to go back to the initial campaign that I was showing you, let's take a look at how this is set up inside Facebook, right? So take a look at this, right? It says here under custom audience now, who am I targeting? I'm not just targeting the 1% of lookalike of all-time buyers for this product, but now I am also targeting the lookalike of 1 to 2%. Now, how do I create this 1 to 2% of lookalike buyers? The way I do that, to have this incremental change. Now, why is it that you want to have an incremental change? You can see here that the potential reach is 24 million people. Now, how do you create this incremental change? By going back to audiences, okay, and targeting that additional percentage, but excluding the percentage before. If that sounds confusing, here's what I mean. So if I wanted to create a new targeting, but I only wanted to see the difference between a 1% going to a 2%, right? So let's say 1% lookalike is profitable, but I don't know if going from 1% to 2% is going to be profitable. So how can I split test this? This is when I can create an audience. I'm going to create a new source of custom audience. And this custom audience is going to be people that is just 1% to 2%. So how do I do that? I go to this place called Lookalike Audiences. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to shift from 1 to 2%. Okay. So all I'm going to do is same thing as before, $1 million ads, buyers, that's going to be my source, that's going to be my seed. But now, rather than just selecting 0 to 2%, which is what most people would do, to split test the difference, I want to be able to see from 1 to 2, right? And if this audience worldwide is still profitable, what do? I will create a new audience, and instead of having a 3% lookalike, which looks like this, which is what most people would do, I'm just going to split test the additional 1%. So understand that it's becoming broader and broader. The audience size is going to become like bigger and bigger, right? But this is how you strategically scale. By understanding this, that incremental in making the audience size broader, are you still able to maintain or even sometimes decrease the cost of acquiring a customer? So coming back to this, that is how you successfully and strategically scale Facebook ad campaign. One of the things that we've been doing is we've been rewarding you guys just for commenting on the video. And so far, if you're learning something, I would love to hear what your biggest takeaway is. And right now, we're doing a special campaign just to reward you guys. For anybody that types in run Facebook ads, my team, we're going to select 2 winners for our Facebook course worth $1,997. We're going to reveal that in an upcoming video. So if you want to be part of that, just make sure you comment below and smash the like button if you enjoyed this video. I could be showing you a lot more these type of behind the scenes Facebook ads type of videos. It does help the channel out a little bit as well. Smash the subscribe button if you would love to be able to see more videos just like this. And if you truly want to master Facebook ads, I highly suggest you binge watch my entire Facebook ads playlist that's going to appear in front of the middle of your screen right now in 5, 4, 3, 2.